So hi, I'm here with Kelly Esten, and she's going to talk with us a little bit about Toast. A previous conversation we had was with actually somebody within the restaurant industry, and Toast is a service provider to the restaurant industry. So I thought it would be a good connection there. So just to start things off, Kelly, thank you for being here.
Thanks
And
for having me.
yeah, I'd love for you to just give an overview of what Toast is. Who's your market, what value are you providing?
Yeah, so Toast is an all-in-one technology platform for restaurants. And we, primarily are known as a point of sale provider. So we help restaurants, take orders and payments and really manage the financial and business side of their restaurants. But we've expanded over the last several years. And so now we provide payroll, capital, and a lot of extensions to technology, both with our own products as well as with a whole ecosystem of partners who are providing different value to restaurants through technology so that restaurants can really be on a modern kind of cloud-based technology stack. We primarily serve independent restaurants.
Okay.
So, a couple locations, 1, 2, 3, 5 location restaurants. So we really work with those independents, and we're all over the US. The value we tend to provide is helping them increase their revenue by opening up new channels like off-premise dining, being able to take online orders, for example, helping them reduce labor costs or other costs within their restaurant, and really just kind of improving their operations.
Yeah, that's interesting. And kind of like the analogy that's coming to mind is Shopify to websites and small businesses, right? Like Shopify is a way to easily professionalize the look of a small business online. And it sounds like you're almost professionalizing the back office operations of an independent restaurant.
Exactly. For many independent restaurants before Toast, either they were on pen and paper or they had a cash register or they had what we call kind of like a legacy system, something that's been around for decades and works, but can't take advantage of a lot of the new technology that's available now.
Yeah, yeah. So, typically the next question is, were you impacted or how are you impacted by the coronavirus? I don't have to be like a genius to figure out restaurant industry, not like the ideal category to be in. So
No,
what
no.
were you seeing? Like what was kind of like the oh no, we have a problem to like, this is really sinking in. Like what was that like as you were dealing with it?
Yeah, it's obviously when all of your customers are closed by the government, it's usually not good for your business either.
Yeah.
And our business model is such that we have skin in the game with our restaurants. And so when their revenues go down, our revenues go down, kind of in lockstep.
Yep.
And so it was definitely a fast impact as restaurants started closing their doors. We felt the impact alongside our customer community right away. We were thinking about all scenarios. We were thinking about what does this mean for the next couple of weeks? Because I don't know about you, but for us at the beginning, everyone, when we got sent home from the office, we thought, we'll be home for a couple of weeks. I don't think we all thought it was, gosh, who knows how long it's going to be.
Yeah, and it hasn't ended yet, right? Yeah.
Months, years, who knows? There was that immediate impact. And then our concern was, how do we help restaurants stay in business knowing what thin margins they run on, how dependent they and their staff are on kind of the daily traffic. And then, hoping that our number one job became make sure our customers don't go out of business.
Uh-huh.
And so that really became what we focused on.
Yeah, I mean, and you're offering, back sort of office support for lack of a better term. But you said, your number one focus became how do you keep your customers from going out of business? So like, what are some steps you took? Because I don't think of a service provider as being able to pull a lot of levers to keep the restaurants as a business. So like, what were some of the things you did?
Yeah, I'd say there were two things we did right off the bat. One was offer what financial support we could. So we started waiving our own fees and making sure that restaurants, we didn't feel like another bill they had to pay at a time when they didn't have any revenue coming in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing we did was we actually launched a brand new product. In a matter of, I think, about 10 days, we launched a brand new product. And if you think about the restaurant industry as a whole, about half of independent restaurants have no way to capture an order, other than a server. And they, there's no online ordering, no delivery, no takeout, no nothing. And as it became clear that, delivery and takeout were going to be the main way restaurants got revenue through this time, we already offered that to our customers. So we made sure that we actually gave it away for free for our existing customers so that they could get on board with that if they didn't already have it. But then the other thing we did is we disassociated it from our point of sale so that we could give it to other restaurants for free as well. So even if you didn't have Toast, you could get online ordering through Toast for free through the coronavirus.
Yeah, so if you had a different point of sale service provider, you created a way to connect this product that already existed with other point of sale service providers.
So we don't connect it into the point of sale. We just found a way for them to run it in parallel.
Okay, very cool. Right? Yeah, very cool. So did you see a huge uptick in restaurants signing up for the service? I mean, what kind of an impact did this make?
We did. We saw thousands of restaurants sign up for the service within a matter of weeks. And so we definitely kind of stretched all of our resources through this time to make sure that was possible. And what we saw was really like a total flip in consumer behavior. So it used to be that, for restaurants that were on all these platforms already, either they're running their own online ordering or they had a connection to someone like a Grubhub or a DoorDash, usually still like 70% of their revenues coming through in store, like on-premise dining, the traditional experience that we all love about restaurants. And we saw that flip. So it's just, now 70% of revenues coming through these digital channels. And that's a big shift for restaurants to go through, because a lot of restaurateurs get into restaurants to, provide hospitality and the ambiance and that feeling, and that vibe in the restaurant. And so it's a real big change for them to get most of their revenue digitally. And it's a shift that had been in process, to your point, I think you've made with other kind of brands. It's a shift that had been slowly in process already, but it really accelerated with coronavirus because there's no other way.
Yeah, I mean, and I just think on a personal level, our family has shifted to ordering online or takeout, being at home, and I mean, you lose the ambience, but at the same time, you still are not cleaning up dishes and thinking through how to make a meal and stuff like that.
Well, they're much better chefs than I am.
Exactly. They know what they do. I know what I do. And it's
I can only have pasta and plain cheese quesadillas so many nights a week,
So I think it's interesting. I mean, you've highlighted this acceleration of businesses seeing there's more people ordering online, therefore they need the ability to take those orders with less friction or less sort of toll on their staff. And so you've created this product that can, stand in the middle. As you move forward, like how is Toast thinking about the future and what will happen over the next couple of years?
Yeah, we wish we had a crystal ball as to what was going to happen over the next couple of years, but I do think that some of these trends will stay. What we're seeing is that our core business is picking back up as our restaurant customers' businesses are picking back up too. So especially in, I think, a lot of the southern states and the western states, and starting in Boston a little bit, some on-premise dining is coming back either through patios or spaced out interior dining. And it's been amazing to watch how creative and resilient restaurants have been. We're starting to see those on-premise numbers tick up. We actually publish all of our data now on rallyforrestaurants.com. So you can actually watch in real time, state by state, how restaurants are doing versus last year, on-premise versus off-premise revenue. It's kind of fun to go check out and watch how, reopenings are correlating with restaurant revenue. But, for them, we are seeing that adoption of digital ordering is probably like hitting a new watermark that it's going to stay at. I don't think it's going to be a straight line recovery as far as, everything's just going to keep opening and opening with no steps backwards. And so helping restaurants switch back and forth between these different channels, we think will be pretty important over at least the next year, while the kind of COVID crisis continues to hopefully peter out, but there may be this resurgence. So making sure restaurants have the ability to go back and forth between these models as customer demands change, as our expectations change, but also as kind of what's going on in the world around them changes too.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying too, and the value providing to me makes a lot of sense for restaurants. I kind of, again, I'm, from the consumer goods background, I likened it to, like the Grubhub and the DoorDash are almost like the Amazons of the world, right? Like they do a great job of bringing people in, and you can probably do some new customer acquisition, but at the end of the day, like what you're giving up as a restaurant using those services is connection to the people and the data and who's ordering, right? And
Yeah.
and basically, it sounds like Toast is giving them a good platform that says if you can acquire these customers, you have all this data, and I think it makes the trade-off a lot easier in some
Yeah.
cases.
It's really two things. It's the guest data to your point, and if you get a customer through Grubhub, the guest data is theirs, and they don't even give it to you.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And we actually,
yeah.
Full disclosure, Grubhub and DoorDash are partners of ours. We connect to them. A lot of our restaurants use them. There's a ton of value there in the platform side of things. But to your point, once a customer is yours, you really want to convert them to your proprietary channels. And the guest data is yours, and more of the revenue is yours too. I would say the other thing that's changing is what happens in store. So, my husband and I joke when we watch TV shows and we see people like touching things and touching each other, it kind of makes us nervous now.
Yeah.
And, I think that's going to be people's feeling for a while, whether or not it's real. And what we're also seeing is that the in-store expectations are changing, and technology is going to play a different role there. So we're actually in the middle of rolling out products that make it so you don't need a paper menu that gets passed around, or you don't need, to hand. It's crazy even in the US today. Like if you go to Europe, they're way ahead of us. But today you like hand your credit card to someone, they walk off with it, they come back, you're handing back and forth credit cards and receipts and paper, and you're passing things around to all your friends and all the pens and everything. I mean, those are just like germ spreading moments. But the technology exists to move all of that to your cell phone already. And so that's the other area where we're investing in new product, so that as people go back to restaurants, you have a lot more control over the menu, your payment experience. We can just move all of that to your cell phone, so you don't have to worry about touching everything.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it is funny. I feel like I've become a germaphobe in a way.
Yes.
And when you start looking at it, it just like pops up all these things. But
I used to be like, don't worry about washing your hands, the kids should eat dirt kind of person. And now I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to touch a menu.
Exactly. But what I love about it too is, these platforms you're creating, even if, the world changes and, even if we get back to the place where people are less concerned about touching menus, there's not really a downside to having this. In many cases, it's just going to make things more efficient. It's going to allow people to, make changes to their menus, more frequently, if it's digital versus paper. There's just a lot of upside to this that's probably here to stay regardless of what happens with it.
And we've seen that transformation happen in other industries already. I use airlines as a big example there. So 10 years ago, you would walk up to a person at a desk who had a terminal in front of them, and they basically take your order. You'd say, "Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm here to fly to New York," and they'd print out your boarding pass for you. And then there was like a moment where kiosks were big, but very quickly it went to your mobile phone. And you could, check in on your mobile phone, you could change your seat on your mobile phone, and people like having that control. And there's a lot of benefits to the airlines for having, you check in on your mobile phone. And I think for restaurants, it's the same. You think about it, if you're sitting in a restaurant, rather than trying to get the server's attention to get another glass of wine, you can just click on your phone, and then the server can bring the wine right over. And you think about the increase in check size, the decrease in labor costs, there's just a huge benefit to the restaurant as well as the customer experience. And if you get people starting to make those changes with something like this, that's like an external force, I think they will stick around because there are so many benefits to it.
Yeah, I love it. And those are a couple things I hadn't even thought of. So yeah, what I love overall about this conversation is, Toast hit some hard times, as their partners hit some hard times. And, but at the end of the day, you said, how can we continue to provide value? What are changes that may accelerate what we were thinking about doing anyway in terms of technology adoption? and we're going to get through this together with our partners. So yeah, quick plug. Like if somebody wants to know more about Toast, or know more about this rally for restaurants that you've done to create support for restaurants, where do they go, or how do they find out more?
Yeah, so I'll start with Rally for Restaurants. Rallyforrestaurants.com, just spelled exactly like that, is a really great platform for how you can support independent restaurants right now. On rallyforrestaurants.com, you can look up who in your community is doing online ordering and also selling online gift cards. So you can support restaurants through kind of a time when they are needing support from their communities. We also have a platform there for action. So we have posted information about how you can write letters to Congress, some of the things that we're sending through that'll help small businesses through this crisis, including restaurants. As well as kind of if you're a data nerd like me, dig into like how are restaurants doing in your community? What does this shift to off-premise look like? And where are the trends headed in the reopening environment? So it's pretty fun. And then of course, toasttab.com, toast and then tab.com is our corporate website. One of the cool things that we did before coronavirus is we launched kind of like a web magazine called On the Line that tells stories about restaurants and restaurant perspective. And so there's been a whole series on how restaurants are adapting to COVID and the current environment. And we're also doing a whole series on Black-owned restaurants in response to Black Lives Matter. So there's some really great content and stories coming directly from restaurateurs online.
All right, awesome. So Rally for Restaurants and toasttab.com for some information on what's going on for the data nerds, or for the I want to support different restaurant segments.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, Kelly, for joining me. This is a super interesting conversation for me, and like I said, I just love the challenges you guys have taken on at Toast, and the way you're continuing to build your platform and continuing to provide value. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.